Howdy, soldiers. I turned 29 last month, and I don't know what happened, but really, last night has truly shown me that I am now old, because like I was out to a respectable 11:30. I had 2 drinks. And like, tell me why this morning I feel like I got run over by a truck. Sorry if you can hear the fan in the background, but it's 32 degrees outside today, and the fact that I'm filming it all is egregious. Okay, so why are we here today? Over the last couple of weeks, I have been blessed by the thrifting gods and now have an absolutely impressive stack of secondhand, lightly used books that I bought at reasonable prices. I haven't even bothered counting. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 17, 18, 19, 20 books! Oh my god. I am out of control. Hello, TLC's My Strange Addiction. I got a bunch from Value Village. I got a handful from one of my favorite secondhand indie bookstores, and I got literally half of this stack from a indie store that my partner introduced me to that is like a trade-in system. So I traded in so many of my old books. They were like, yeah, you can take however much you want home. And one of the thrift stores had like a buy 3, get 1 free. I got some of these for free, okay? That's how good I am. I'm riding high on the drug that is purchasing books for very small amounts of money. I have an icy drink. I haven't started sweating yet. So without further ado, grab yourself a drink, grab a snack, and buckle in and join me for a apparently 20 book thrifted book haul. First 4 books are books that I have read before, but just lost my copy of. So I've like repurchasing them. I'm bringing them back into my home. First of all, being Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I found this at Pulp Fiction. I lent a copy of this to a friend like 2 years ago and then just never got it back. Honestly, I don't blame him. This is a great book, and I love Bookshops and Bone Dust as well. I have that on my shelf over there somewhere. And I felt bad having the twins separated. So I finally got another copy. Recently finished Can't Spell Treason Without Tea, and I'm truly entering my cozy fantasy era. Secondly is The Witch King by H.E. Edgman, which gay fairies. I mean, they're immortal beings. You think they're gonna be tied down by the shackles of gender? Trans witch main character and a fairy prince fall in love, but also like have issues. Read this forever ago, don't know what happened to my copy, so this gets to have its place on my shelf again. Thank you, Value Village. And I don't know if you can tell by the mass amount of literature behind me or just my obnoxious personality, but I'm an English major. Particularly 18th and 19th century literature is where my head's at, and one of my favorite poems of all time is Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Samuel Taylor Coleridge, and so I was so excited to find this little novelette, this little itty-bitty compendium of rhyme and a bunch of his other works. I love being a dramatic, romantic, melancholy bitch, and if Samuel Taylor Coleridge wasn't the father of that, I don't know who is. Well, probably Byron. Oh, and Wordsworth. Well, it was a whole thing. I guess it just had to be there. And fourthly is a book I kind of forgot about, and I'm so excited that I made eye contact with this on the shelf, and that is Working for the Devil by Lily St. Croix. I love Lily St. Croix. She wrote one of my favorite young adult series, which was Strange Angels, and I have read this again, forever ago. Don't know what happened to my copy. Maybe it fell into a hell dimension, but we got like a private investigator, but like in hell. There's some kind of tall, dark, handsome demon familiar who may or may not have horns. And y'all know I'm horny for a man with horns. Like, actually, Working for the Devil was one of the books that I got from ABC in Kelowna, so here's the rest of the books that I got for a whole $45. Somebody Call Canada's Got Talent. Ooh, which one am I most excited for? Okay, probably The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy by Megan Vannon. My girlfriend read this a couple months ago and loved it and has been pestering me to read it ever since. So I have a copy of this now, babe, okay? Get off my back. Just kidding. I love my girlfriend very much. We were just looking at mausoleums together the other day. Find yourself someone as weird as you are. From what I've been hearing, this is a light magic romantic fantasy about an undertaker and I guess a warden who like protects the city from the mystical creatures of the wilds, and the two of them hate each other, but then they accidentally start exchanging letters not knowing that it's the other person writing, and then they fall in love. And I'm here for magical monsters and mortuary managers, and I think this is gonna Is that the new title for like the next cozy fantasy book? I think this is going to fit right in with everything else on my shelves. Another book I found that I've been recommended a lot, particularly by Meg Mazzaferro on TikTok, is The Fairy Bargains of Prospect Hill by Rowena Miller. Damn, the power that I would wield if my name was Rowena. That's amazing. I am a slut for a fairy novel. I just love that macabre, weird, twisted nature-y magic and particularly strange bargains. Generations ago, Prospect Hill used to be a place where people would leave small trinkets in exchange for bargains with the Fae, but now hundreds of years have passed, no one really believes it anymore, but our main character Elaine's family still kind of upholds some of the folklore of old. And on her sister's wedding day, she reveals that the groom isn't who she really thought she was, so Elaine goes to Prospect Hill to make a bargain with the Fae, and ooh, small bargains cost something, but what do large bargains cost? I want to know. Like, you know the Tumblr posts of people throughout history going into the forest and being like, I will bring the offering for the Fae, don't speak their name, you don't want to capture their attention. And then there's you who was like walking through a forest banging pots and pans like, oh no, I hope a hot sexy Fae man doesn't take me back to his realm. That's me. However, just like a Greek tragedy, it will be my hubris that brings me down, because I'm like, I could totally stick it out in a Fae world. Like, I know to only answer questions with questions and never say my true name and not eating the fairy food. But like, I know that like 7 hours in, I'd be ready to go home and they wouldn't let me. I will read about my dark enchantments and my Fae bargains and my sinister folklore from the comfort of my couch in the 21st century? Yes. And then this romance novel is something I've never heard of before, but it made me laugh, so I had to buy it. And that's A Talk Bookish to Me by Kate Bromley. My girlfriend and I were cackling in the romance section over reading the back of this because it's about a bookstagrammer. Kara is a book influencer and romance novelist who has to go and help at her friend's wedding, and then it turns out that like her childhood rival is there and they butt heads but have to make sure that the wedding is going smoothly, but then like also fall in love. And I love stories like that. And also Kara's using her crush on this guy as inspiration for her new like historical romance novel, and I feel like that can only go poorly, and I can't wait to read that. But I'm also a sucker for books about book people, so if your main character is a librarian, a novelist, another type of writer, a bookstore employee, a publisher, an editor, somebody who does book influencing, like I'm pretty much guaranteed to buy it. And I would hope that none of you use that fact for evil. Oh my god. I didn't notice that this one is literally called The Chronicles of the Bitch Queen. Yes, girl, work. So I also found a copy of The Wolf of Orenyaro by K.S. Villoso. We all know I support women's rights and women's wrongs. Hey, you give me a girl with a sword and armor, and I'm ready to reinvest in the monarchy. In Queen Talion's kingdom, there was a bloody war of wolves that tore the nation apart, and her arranged marriage to the son of the rival clan is what ushers in peace. But that prince goes missing right before she's supposed to get married to him, and so then there's this uprising, and when she tries to go and visit the country, there's an assassination attempt, and she's off course now, and she doesn't know who she can trust, and she's trying to bring her country together, but also like, ooh, mystery politics. And Chronicles of the Bitch Queen sounds honestly just like the perfect name for her, because it's like, oh, all of you want a like a sweet, demure, smiling woman, but I want a woman who can get shit done. I've heard nothing but good things about this, and I'm always looking for a new feminist fantasy novel, so Wolf of Orenyaro, Chronicles of the Bitch Queen is going top of my TBR. And then I found a very beautiful hardcover copy of a YA book that I've kind of had my eye on for a little while, and I'm so glad that I waited, because I found a heavily discounted copy of Only a Monster by Vanessa Len, which apparently is like one of the best YA books of the decade. This is about monsters and monster slayers, and our main character finding out that her family actually are a family of monsters, so she is not the hero of this story, but she's falling in love with a slayer. Slayer? I barely know her. But her family's in danger, so she's gonna have to embrace her monstrousness to save those she loves. And then it's just like, ooh, what is ethics? What is morality? They do not say what kind of monster she turns into, so based on this cover, I was like, oh, vampire, because that's like, this is vampire colors. But then I see sea serpent dragon, so how freaking sick would that be if your significant other could just turn into a sea serpent? Hold on, she also is holding a pendant that has like a little lion on it. Are you werecats? I don't know. From the blurb, it's giving very City of Bones if Clary was part demon instead of part angel, and like, I'm totally here for it. I hear this is a fantastic enemies to lovers. I hear it's a really good love story. And lastly, from my ABC trade-ins is this absolute stunner. Like I said earlier, I love books about books, and I love books about libraries and books about stories and stories within stories, and I feel like this is the master of them all, and it's A Conspiracy of Truths by Alexandra Rowland. The first thing that obviously caught my eye was this beautiful cover. Like, she's foiled, she's illustrated, she's stenciled, she looks like a manuscript of old. Like, girl, are you kidding me? This is about a wandering storyteller who stumbles into a kingdom on the brink of war, and the queendom thinks that he's a spy, so to save his own life, he has to tell a story and this is obviously the story that he's telling. That's what all readers are looking for, right? We want to talk about the power of a good story, and this book is like that, but like condensed, distilled. I've read something from Alexander Rowland I really, really loved, which was A Taste of Gold and Iron, and I've read something from Alexander Rowland that I really, really disliked, which was Running Close to the Wind. So this is gonna be the tiebreaker, deal breaker of whether I continue to have her on my shelf or not. So that concludes the first stack that I got, and so now we go on to the second stack. 2 books, count them, 2 books that I got from Wildfires Books, which is a half-used, half-new indie bookstore. They recently had a book drive, book donation, book sale, which I obviously donated to and attended. That was to raise funds for an event space for them next door. And the 2 books that I got from them include In the Ravenous Dark by A.M. Strickland. I've heard good things about A.M. Strickland, so I wanted to try her out. And Sapphic Monsters. Vampires? Is this vampires? Not vampires, but still death magic, and I'll take it. Wait a minute, I'm sorry. There's 2 love interests. One of them is a rebellious princess, and the other one is dead. I'm willing to overlook a lot of things about men if they're pretty, but if they're dead, personally a red flag. Oh, okay, the undead one is like her guard because she's magic, and so magic users get like an undead spirit that guards them. Okay, little undead bodyguard romance. A.M. Strickland's richly imagined dark fantasy features court intrigue, a revolution that stretches across life and death, and a pansexual love triangle that will leave readers desperate to find out what happens next. Say less. And then the other one I got is Red Scholar's Wake. Oh, it's my receipt. I paid $2.40 for this. Okay, hear me out. Sentient sapphic spaceships. Right? A sapphic romantic space opera about a bot maker and data analyst who gets kidnapped by a pirate queen who's part of this massive pirate fleet, and all of them have to figure out how to stop this interstellar war and also fall in love. Girl, what? I am living La Vida Loca with that concept. I love that so much. I have heard some conflicting reviews of this, but I think I'm still gonna really like it because reviews are for readers and everyone's looking for something different. So a reason why I may hate a book, maybe a reason that you love a book. So when people say this is a little bit slow and like more heavily romantic instead of spicy, I'm like, I am all for that. Give to me, and I don't know, my brain's tired, okay, I'm out of jokes. But what I don't do is joke around about interstellar sapphic literature, so very excited to have gotten this for $2.40. And then another book that I bought when I was at Pulp Fiction on Main is one that I've had people yelling at me about since it came out, because my favorite book of all time is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I literally have a tattoo of it, which is magical library that exists outside of space and time. And people were like, well, if you like that magical library that exists outside of space and time, you're gonna love this magical library that exists outside of space and time. And that is Piranesi, however you say it, by Susanna Clark. Piranesi's house is no ordinary building. Its rooms are infinite, its corridors endless, its walls lined with thousands upon thousands of statues. Work. Within the labyrinth of halls is an ocean imprisoned. Waves thunder up staircases, rooms are flooded in an instant. Serve. There is one other person in the house, a man called the Other, who visits Piranesi twice a week and asks for help with research into a great and secret knowledge. But as Piranesi explores, evidence emerges of another person. Oh my god. Living rent-free in this economy? Are you a god? Or is this a different dimension? Like, what is going on in here on this day? I must know. Basically, I know that I'm going to love this book, and so I'm kind of putting it off so that I can, like, have that experience, and that's a very weird reader thing, but I know more of you do that, where you're like, I know I'm gonna love it, I'm not gonna touch it, but I have it in my hands, finally, and that means that I'm gonna read it, I'm going to absorb it, I'm gonna absorb it into my heart and maybe get another tattoo. I don't know. I still got room on my legs. A bit of a wild card for me is that I bought another romance novel. Actually, I bought a couple of romance novels. What am I talking about? I say it's a wild card because it's like a contemporary new adult romance, and if you've been here for a little while, you know my thoughts on those. And the TLDR, I don't like them. Especially straight ones because, oh my god, new adult fantasy in particular, red flag central. However, I do like to try stuff out again every once in a while to see if my tastes have changed. And I've seen so many people who love the contemporary romance fiction genre talk about this book And the fact that I got it for like $3.99, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm willing to lose. I'm willing to gamble $3.99 on me loving this book or not. And that is Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. Literally one of the top 100 romance novels of all time on Goodreads. And I bet literally the synopsis of this already has a strike against it because it's in first person. And I personally hate first person synopsises. Synopsi. A girl who I think has gone through some kind of trauma that she survived, but her father did not, and Archer has something to do with it. They haven't spoken in 6 months. It seems like Archer doesn't speak, and I'm not sure if that's because of the shared trauma or if this is something else. But as the two of them get, into each other's orbits, they start learning more about each other. Oh my god, maybe we're falling in love and like healing that hurt together. And like that is a story I think is gonna be great. Girl, you are talking a lot about his hands on this synopsis, and I do not think you were talking about sign language. What other stories of romance and seduction have I thrifted lately? I'm so glad that you asked. Okay, so this one I have seen floating around on the historical romance side of Book Talk as a beloved favorite. So I found a copy of Let's try this again. I found a copy of The Wisteria Society for Lady Scoundrels by India Holton. Lady thieves, yet again piracy, charming henchmen, gothic manners. It seems charming and campy about a ideal Victorian lady, Cecilia Bassingwaith, who is also a thief, and she's like blackmailing the Society of London. But our love interest is an assassin who has a huge crush on Cecilia, and his employer wants to like rid London of all the presumptuous, scandalous ladies. So the two of them have to work together to obviously stop this guy. And like, oh my god, dude, really get a hobby. I'm very slowly building up a little historical romance section on my shelves, so this is likely going to go towards that. My other romance book is less romance and more like coming of age, but it does have to do with getting married in Vegas. So that is Honey Girl by Morgan Rhodes. Honey Girl's been on my radar for a while, so when I saw her in Value Village, it was like time slowed. Like we locked eyes, and I picked her up and I took her home. Like a real gentleman. The fears that make us human, the need for human connection, and navigating the messiness of adulthood. And like, girl, aren't we all? Our main character, Grace, is going through a life crisis. She gets her PhD in astronomy and doesn't know what she's gonna do with her life, and then she goes to Vegas on like a girls' trip and then accidentally wakes up married and doesn't know who her fiance is. As a fellow messy, burned out millennial, I have been so drunk that I've made out with girls that I didn't know. But I've never been so drunk that I have accidentally gotten married. This also, I think, is a book that I received years ago. Don't know what happened to it. Where did it go? It's like socks in a dryer, right? Like, where do all the left socks go? The sock goblins that come in the middle of the night to like the book fairies like get in through the cracks of my windows and then like abscond with my early copies. Like, I have no idea. And then a YA fantasy that I'm very happy to have is one that actually one of my friends saw and went, haha, Cinderella is dead. That's a hilarious title. And I swear I was like, and then just like ran over and yoinked it. I read Poison Heart by Haley Barrett and I really liked it, though I've been hearing some iffy things on her latest novels, but this is her debut and I wanted to read it for a while. This is a Black Sapphic reinterpretation of Cinderella, where hundreds of years after Cinderella had her moment at the ball with the shoe, girls are presented to society, kind of like Regency era balls, and if you are not chosen by a man of the kingdom to be a wife, your forfeit. Don't know what that means, but that doesn't sound good. But our main character, Erin, would much rather marry her childhood best friend rather than get engaged to a man. And on one of these days when they decide to run away together, they stumble into Cinderella's mausoleum and they meet a descendant of Cinderella. And then it's like together they vow to bring down the kingdom once and for all. Like, girl power, am I right? I am not a huge fan of fairy tale retellings. I think I kind of burnt myself out on them when those were really big in like the early 2010s. But of course, there are exceptions to every rule, and I've had my eye on this for a while, and I hear that it's one of her best books, so I'm gonna chance it. Final two, perhaps two of the most exciting ones. So second last is I got a copy of Trail of Lightning by Rebecca Roanhorse, which is an indigenous dystopian fantasy apocalypse novel. I really liked her book Black Sun, but that one is more high fantasy and this one's a little bit more dystopian fantasy, contemporary fantasy. I don't know what this is. Most of the world has drowned in a climate apocalypse and now monsters and gods of legend walk the land, and our main character Maggie is a monster hunter. But it's also kind of like a mystery because she's helping a small town find a missing girl, and she recruits a medicine man named Kai, traveling the res, unraveling clues from ancient legends, dealing with tricksters and dark witchcraft and deteriorating technology. Welcome to the sixth world. This sounds bananas, B-A-N-A-N-A-S. As much as I love a classic high fantasy, give me a genre blend, give me a genre bend, give me a genre smoothie. I'm so intrigued to see how she pulls this off. I was ready to leave my dystopian phase back in 2013 where it belongs. But if this book is as good as I think it is, maybe I'll be willing to resurrect some stuff. Lastly is a book that I have almost paid full price for 3 separate occasions, and I'm so glad that I did it and that I waited because I found a thrifted copy of Inkblood Sister Scribe by Emma Torres. Torres? Yes, Torres. Yet again, I had almost no idea what this was about, but somebody told me magical libraries, and that's enough for me. This follows 3 sisters who are part of a family that for generations has protected a library full of magical books. But after their father dies, after reading a book that one of the sisters has never seen before, they all have to come back together, and they're discovering things about their legacy and secrets about their family and secrets that may lead to other libraries. Bitch. Ooh, let's get labyrinthine up in here. And it's blurbed by Alexi Harrow, Rashi Chakshi, and Jenna Rose Nethercott. And those are 3 women that I trust explicitly when writing a sinister family legacy plot. Oh my god, I just realized that this is a plant that goes down into a pen that's dripping blood. I'm exceptionally unobservant. It's like Ninth House meets Practical Magic with like a bit of 10,000 Doors of January and just like a little sprinkle of the Starless Sea. And that's a little witch's brew that I would love to consume. And I think that is going to be that on that. I am so sweaty and my leg's asleep. Oh, God. Don't make fun of my grandpa slippers, okay? No, I'm young and spry. Why do my bones feel like that? Oh my God, I'm gonna have to start like stretching before I start filming these videos like I'm in a dance class or like running a marathon. And so all of these are eventually going to be making their way, hopefully, into some wrap-ups onto my bookshelves. I just like, yeah, there we go. This stack is tall enough I could literally rest my arms on them. I didn't mean for this to happen. I don't know how so many of these managed to find their way into my hands and into my home. Hopefully into my heart. But hey, I'm not one to give up the favor of the thrifting gods. Because the thrifting gods can giveth, or they can taketh away. Oh, shit. The secondhand deities that be are like, we're not gonna give you a single pair of shorts or a pair of shoes that fits you for like 4 months straight. But I guess we can throw in a couple paperbacks. So I'm going into the summer with 20 books and a single pair of shorts. Please leave down below if you yourself have read any of these. I would love to hear your thoughts, or if you've had any big thrift scores in the last little while. Though on the topic of only having 1 pair of shorts that I'm currently wearing, I think we're gonna wrap this up so I can turn my air conditioning unit back on. That one little fan I have in the corner, oh, he's chugging along. He's doing his best and I love him for it, but unfortunately, it's 27 degrees inside my apartment right now and I need to bring out the big guns. You know where to click to like the video. You know where to click to subscribe. I hope you guys are all having a nice day wherever you are, and I will see you all next week. Bye!